It's time to sit back and check out the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your hosts, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey, good kind people. What's going on? Lee Sanders here of the RCWR Show, joined along by a very special guest, my good friend and Julian Cannon from the Wrestling Court, the Nocturnal, and Digiday, as we're here for this special episode talking about the series finale of Better Call Saul that went down this week on AMC and AMC Plus. Julian, I'm not even exhausted yet talking about the series finale, but I definitely want to put you on the spot and ask you what were your thoughts about the series finale. Run with it as much as you'd like. Particularly, did the series finale live up to your expectations? Because so far, some of the people that I've been speaking to, wifey included, because me and her, we've been doing a ritual, checking it out every single Monday night. She told me straight up, you know what? I had part of it right, which she knew he was going to get arrested, but she didn't see the whole turn or two that was coming towards the end of the episode. Did it live up to your expectations? Exceeded it? What say you?
Well, before we go on, thank you for having me on the show. It's finally great that we doing a show together.
Yeah, so, long time coming.
Yes. Now, let's talk about this episode because to me, it's TV done right. And I've been saying that for a while for Better Call Saul. And I've quite enjoyed this finale much better than Breaking Bad and the one off film that they did a few years back. I think it wrapped up the story quite well. I also love the acting, the pacing, and the directing. And that twist ending, I would say this, that twist I kind of didn't see coming at all too. So I was quite surprised by that. I think Bob Odenkirk has done amazingly well when it came to doing the show. And I got to give props up to the cast as well. They've really fleshed out all the story too. So yeah, I could say that it really exceeded my expectations. I've seen online that some people are not happy with it. Others are. I'm not in the mix of both, but I like what I saw there, especially since I've been following this entire universe since Breaking Bad.
Now, let me ask you, because that's the first time that I'm hearing that, since we're here in this moment right now, that there's actually been some fans that's been complaining about the series finale. What's the overall consensus you're seeing so far? Because everything that I've been seeing is the opposite.
Yeah, what I'm seeing is that they felt that the story didn't wrap up well to their expectations. They really pissed him in jail. I'm like, okay, so how would you write this ending?
Right, because I was saying this the other day, when you look at the ending of Breaking Bad, I look at the way Walter White went out, and by now everybody should know how Walter White went out, but I'm thinking James Cagney and White Heat. That is essentially how he went out. And in the case of Jimmy McGill, now that the series finale is in the bag, let me tell you what I was thinking would happen with Jimmy, and you let me know if you were thinking the same thing or if you were going in a different direction. But my expectation, my predictions was that, okay, we kept seeing throughout this series, when we would fast forward to the present, Jimmy would be playing around with diamonds from time to time. And so for me, I'm going, okay, this is way before they put out that social media teaser with Bob talking about how you can spot fake diamonds. I'm thinking something is going to involve those diamonds. Maybe he's going to use those to try to get out of town, try to assume a new identity, because Vacuum Guy this go round ain't going to be able to help him. He's not going to be able to get in contact with him. And so that little black book that he was introduced to earlier this season, I'm thinking
Yes.
maybe there's going to be a old contact that maybe he's never utilized before. And he's going to tell them, hey, look, this is what's up. I'm trying to, I can pay you. And long story short, I saw him being executed by that contact who he's never done business with before. So I thought maybe that was going to happen. But then the other part of me thought, well, Walter White got killed. So do we really want to, I didn't see Jimmy redeemable from the sense of he's going to walk off into the sunset. I did not see that ever happening. I figure one way or another, his time was going to come.
I think they set that up in a notion way back in the mid-season finale with that horrendous killing of, who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they set it up from there. That it was at this point, I was thinking there's no way he's coming back from this and any of the other stuff that he's been doing for the last maybe 4 or 5 seasons. With the way he handled all those aces and the way he's kind of bribed or not kind of bribed all these people that he was connected with. So I think at that mid-season finale a few months back, that was at a point where I was like, yeah, he's going to start to go under.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
and what you said before. It reminds me of The Wire. Every single time when I used to watch that show,
love that show.
Yes, I really do love it.
Based out here too. Based out here too in DC, Maryland, Virginia. Yeah.
Yes, every time when I watch that show, I've tried to pay attention to a lot of little clues to see what got set up in later seasons. Because when I was watching, when it first aired on HBO, I was a teenager, so I didn't really kind of pick up on these things until I became an early adult. Same with how you just described your theory of how this would end. That would have been another cool way to end the series.
Yeah, I think so. I'm quite taken back by the fact that people were it has me wondering, well, what did you expect was going to happen? You knew his day of reckoning in some form was going to come. I don't know. Maybe they just wanted the whole blood and gore. I really don't know, but I thought it was, all right, when you compare it to Breaking Bad, you go, okay, is he alive or isn't he? Is he just chilling until the cops come and you were left feeling unfulfilled? And so essentially you have El Camino come along. And El Camino, now when you group it all together, El Camino did a really good job connecting the gaps there while also helping Better Call Saul. And now you have Better Call Saul ending. The directors and everybody involved with this series, they weren't lying when they said by the time the series ends, you'll have an even more deeper and richer appreciation for the Breaking Bad series as a whole. And I definitely was left away going, okay, all right. Now, let me ask you, what was your interpretation? Just putting a little bit out there. We're not going to go too deep, but what were some of your interpretations of the flashbacks that was going on with Jimmy during that episode? For me, it reminded me a lot of Scrooge, and he was visited by the 3 ghosts of the past, right? But except for me, I looked at Mike as for the mind. I looked at Chuck for the soul, and I looked at Walter for the body.
I'll take that same analogy because I also watched The Walking Dead, and Rick's last episode features some type of flashback or dream sequence where one of the characters was the mind, another character was the soul, another character was the heart, and that did play up to these flashbacks that we saw on Better Call Saul. I wonder if the writer of this episode took some inspiration on Rick's last episode of The Walking Dead to piece all these things together.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, definitely. And then just, how did you feel about seeing the second half of this series leading up to the finale all being shot in black and white?
Puzzled at first. It kind of took me out the moment, but not in a bad way. But I was like, oh, I'm kind of intrigued to see why they chose this kind of directing decision. But it really played up well. I could say again, it took me out of the moment just to really think about why these scenes are here in black and white compared to the other scenes that are not.
A completely different experience. It felt more grittier, intense, at the same time, almost like you were watching an entirely new series.
Yes, it did. not to the level of when I saw Memento maybe 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Gave you that throwback vibe too of old classic film noir, those detective flicks, romantic flicks. Yeah. I mean, it's just, you're like, whoa, what the heck is going on here? It's interesting because with that series finale, you know, you're looking at all things considered, you couldn't ask for a better send-off. And obviously they did something right, Jules, because they had, how many people was it that represented Monday night? 1.8 million.
Let me pull it. Go continue.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pull it up.
I believe it was 1.8 million. I remember for sure hearing that it was the third highest rated episode in the series history. And you're going, okay, well, if that many people came out and represented, you know that they struck a chord. And for this day and age in 2022, that's some damn good numbers to hear, because we're in this digital age now where everybody is just app. And as a result, it's really hard for us that's curious and want to try to support a series to figure out, okay, well, is it even really doing anything? Because these shows that's behind these apps, they're not really releasing the analytics of how many people are watching it. You'll just see some press release. Oh, it was the most watched, or we got a boatload of subscriptions for just this show alone. That's pretty damn good considering, compared to, say, I hate to mention Walking Dead, but you see how the numbers just keep,
yes,
you know, it's like, you know, you feel, I mean, because they've been doing some of their best storytelling, I would say at least the past year and a half, maybe almost 2 years, just with the whole Commonwealth. But it's like down.
Yes, and going back to your point, you are actually right. It's 1.8 million viewers, the highest since June 2017, which episode of that season drew 1.85 million.
Okay.
So the whole thing is because maybe we're in the age now, like you said, where digital cable is completely going to be obsolete within the next 10 years. So people are really cord cutting. What that means is all these apps, maybe AMC, BET, and the others, they're not going to release their viewers.
No, I don't see that happening at all. No. Now,
yeah, they could release their subscribers, but how many of those subscribers are watching?
Right, man. It's like what the hell? How did you feel about Kim towards the end of the episode? Did you feel that, okay, you know what? Because I'm looking at Kim's new life and I'm going, Jesus, man, she's essentially become a Karen. Like, what the hell? Like, this ain't the Kim I know and love. Did you feel by the end that, you know what, Kim's going to be okay? Seems like she's going back to her old self, as we saw in that one pivotal scene before she gets word about what's going on back in Albuquerque.
I feel that way, and I also like to add, not that I want to see this, but do you think that there could be a spinoff of her? Because, I mean, the whole character is really wrapped up. I don't think a spinoff could happen. I saw a few discussions about that on Reddit forums, that they want to see a spinoff of her. But what could you do? Her story is completely fleshed out. It's like you're really seeing the end of this character, too, at the same time when you're seeing Jimmy.
You know, I've seen just a tiny bit of that chatter, and I couldn't help but look at that and say, nah, man, 15 years of storytelling, when you really sit back and think about it. 15 years of storytelling of the Breaking Bad universe. Breaking Bad, El Camino, Better Call Saul.
Yes.
And Rhea Seehorn, I love her to death. She is a phenomenal actress, as well as Bob, everybody. But Rhea really, it's interesting when I talk to some females, wife being at the very top of the list, she says to me straight up, the Bob, Rhea dynamic, like that chemistry, that's what has lured her in to watching this entire series.
Yep.
And Rhea is definitely a very strong actress in her own right, but for her to go into her own respected spinoff off of this universe, where do you go? I get it. Okay, so the class action lawsuit, the civil lawsuit. Is it gonna happen or is it not? And honestly, I don't see it happening. That's the thing. I like the way this series ended, because those little crumbs of what's going on right here is as equal to wonder how Jimmy's doing in jail. And I can just picture Jimmy the way it pretty much ended. Jimmy's all right. Jimmy is probably teaching a class on law. Jimmy is probably helping somebody understand their rights because that prisoner felt they got a bad deal, and maybe he's going to represent some of these people and make sure they get a fair trial. I can see him being, doing all of this as Jimmy. I want to make sure I stress that, as Jimmy, right? But no matter how much good my man does, it is what it is. At the end of the day, he ain't gonna be getting out no time soon, right? But you're left going.
Well, how much was the time? 80+ years or something.
86 years. So he was able to get 7.5 years, but once he realized Kim was caught in the crosshairs, he goes, "Okay, I gotta do right." Finally, he found his soul, and so he got 86 years because he perjured himself.
Oh boy, that's a fucking lifetime.
I'm like, dude, all you had to do was just. But you know what? Somebody had a very interesting point when I was doing a write-up review for the 401 Mania website. They said to me and everybody else, you know what? 86 years makes sense when you think about it, guys, because 7.5 years. Jesus, that's fucking nothing, because this guy would have gotten out on good behavior possibly in 4 years tops, and then he'd be doing the same Saul Goodman crap again.
Yes.
No, it even makes you even appreciate more the fact that he perjured himself and he's got 86 years as a result. Like, yeah, but the way it ended, you're left going, I wonder what, with Kim, you're going, okay, by the end, she tapped back into that old Kim that wants to help people again. And you're picturing her, okay, maybe that's the spark that she needed to, okay, you know what, let me stop punishing myself. Because that's essentially what she was doing. She was punishing herself from, you know what. Yes. And I see her just getting back to that Kim that we've come to know and love, right down to the point. I don't know how you felt, but that new man of hers, God, he is boring as hell.
I think we all feel the same way about that. He's no flavor, no personality. Reminds me of some of these bodybuilders in the wrestling industry in the 80s. That's a story for another day.
Yeah, he is. I mean, it's like, Kim, why are you playing down to him? You understand? Like, you had that one scene where he's like, what do you think? And she's just messing around with her puzzle. Well, what do you think? And I'm going, Kim, you know damn well what you think. Why are you dumbing down and playing up? Like, come on now. And it's like, I just feel in my own perfect little world when I'm just drifting off going, I wonder what's going on with these characters. I'm just picturing her. She's dumped him. She's now on Match.com, or hell, maybe she ends up remarrying Jimmy and they have a long distance relationship, right? I mean,
will she even want that though? I mean, especially in that state where there's no conjugal visits, would she even want that?
That's a good point. That is a damn good point. Where do you see this series finale compared to other series finales ranking up on your list?
Much higher than Game of Thrones, much higher than, let's see here, last year's World Beyond, much higher than, I could say that. Higher than a few of the ones I've seen in the last few years.
Sopranos?
Sopranos, oof. If the last scene with that blackout didn't happen, that would have been a good finale. But Sopranos is way under there on the list of finales. A good show that was ruined by a shit finale. But this one, I've always said I've liked when finales wrap things up. If Power did not have the spin-offs with Ghost and Raising Kanan, that would have been a good finale. But they waited until the end of that episode to announce that they're doing spin-offs. They didn't announce it months prior. So yeah, this story, along with this show, it's going to, for the next maybe 10 years or so, it's going to be in the discussions as one of the best finales of all time.
Now, when you look at the Better Call series overall, because I was surprised to learn, I think last season or the season before, turns out you've been watching the series. I'm like, hey, that's cool. And shout out to you because, and we got to make sure people definitely check out your work.